Hello, everyone. This is Jim Simard with Care Printing and Publishing. I've been authorized by ClearPropTV's Paramotor podcast to edit this week's show and rebroadcast it for you. In this edit, I endeavor to focus on the guest, their story, and what they have to say. If you find this show even a little bit informative, please give it a thumbs up, and that will benefit others. It'll allow them to find the video easier and learn as well. So, if you have any questions, put them down below in the comment section and I'll answer them. Also, if you enjoy the show and you want to see more, hit the subscribe button and you'll be notified when more videos come up. Have a great day. Enjoy the show.
So if you want to be in the spinning wheel of winning things, make sure that you say hello to our friendly neighborhood Will Fly, who will put you in the spinning wheel of winning things tonight. Anyway, let's go ahead and quickly introduce everybody on the panel because we got Avery tonight as our guest, and this is going to be an amazing show. So Will Fly, thank you so much for joining us. You're going to be taking care of everybody on the spinning wheel of winning things. We appreciate that. And anybody that has questions, make sure you tag Will Fly and also Jim, because they're going to be helping us out, trying to figure out where all the questions are, so Avery will be able to answer them. Will Fly, have you got any good videos up on your site lately?
Not lately. I'm still working on it. Kind of got a writer's block, but it'll come to pass sooner rather than later.
You got a lot of cool videos on your site. How do we get to go to your YouTube channel?
You can go to willflyppg.com or just go to youtube.com/willfly.
Awesome. Will, thank you so much for helping out with everything that you do. We definitely appreciate you.
Good to be here. Thanks.
We also got Joshua Marsh. He's going to be helping us out in the background. What's up, Josh? Good to see you, buddy.
Good to see y'all too.
Man, you jump on the panel and it's like you're here all the time. That's awesome. I'm glad that you're here, and I'm glad that your eye's better too.
Oh yeah, big time.
You're going to be playing videos of Avery's YouTube in the background, right? So we'll be able to see Avery's videos.
Yep.
All right.
And all his stats and everything.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Josh, for helping us out in the background. We appreciate you, bud.
No problem.
And I also got Linda Anderson, our ParamontUSA.com. Welcome, Linda. And I think every single time that she has been on the show, she has waved her pom-poms, except for once, and that's after you moved. You couldn't find them.
Yes, we have those nights, those off nights, I call it. But welcome, everybody. It's Monday night. Welcome, chatters, viewers. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's going to be an awesome show with Avery. And I'm Paramount. That's who they call me. And I'm like the PR of the show. And if y'all want to get on the show and be a guest, just message me and say, hey, I want to be on your show, and I'll hook you up and come on over. Look at Avery's here tonight, and there you go. Enjoy. Thank
Absolutely.
you.
So if you want to be on the show, make sure you go to ParamontUSA.com. That actually forwards over to her Facebook. That way you can PM her and say, I want to be on PPG Grandpa's Paramotor Podcast, ClearPropTV, and paratalk.org.
Thank you.
And so thank you very much, Linda. And I think you booked people up to what, December now? So
I'm working on December now. Yeah.
So you better get up with Linda, or else it's going to be next year, season 4, that you'll be on the show. So get up with Linda.
I'll fill up very fast, so.
Absolutely.
Exciting. Thank you.
We got Jim from Canada, the only guy I know that goes, maple syrup, smelling money. That's some good stuff. Welcome, Jim. Good to see you, buddy.
Well, it's good to be here.
You are our official sponsor. You take care of all of our stickers and decals for people that don't know what a decal is. So tell us a little bit about your company, what you do, and how to get to you, which is probably your QR code.
Yeah, my company's Care Printing, and we do custom printing for people, so we can print virtually anything for you. We have a do-it-yourself printing site where if you have an image or you have a file that you want printed, you submit it, hit print, and pay for it, of course, and they'll get sent right to you. It's a pretty slick setup. That's DIYprinting.ca. And if you want to get a hold of us, Care Printing, you'll search that, or carepp.com, and it'll come right to a screen that you can connect with us.
And also too, just like Jim said last week, if you say PPG Grandpa sent me, or I saw you on ClearPropTV Paramotor podcast, he will give you a discount. So thank you very much for helping us out.
For sure.
We also got Lift Paramotor Austin in the background that's going to help us out too. Thank you for joining us. But it's not about us. It's not about the panel. Tonight is all about Avery. Avery is here because he has found a $2,500 paramotor for really light people. It's an AirJet. He found it on AliExpress. It's over in China. But can you imagine getting a paramotor, a brand new one for $2,500? Well, tonight we're going to be talking about that. Avery, welcome to the show, buddy.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. When I saw that online and I saw your videos, I'm like, man, I got to get up with this guy, and I'm really glad that you're able to jump on the show tonight. Your videos on this are amazing. But before we get into that, for people that don't know you, Avery, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into paramotoring.
Oh gosh, my parents are hot air balloon pilots, so automatically I'm in the weird ways to fly category. But I've been flying since I was 4 months old, and they actually met at a balloon rally, got married at the same rally the next year, and then I came to that rally the next year and had my first flight after that. I've been around balloons as long as I can remember, and I've been flying anything I can get in. So I've got a logbook with, fixed wing, a few helicopters, gliders, and just kind of coasting along. Must have been about 14 or 15 years old when I went and did another hot air balloon flight, just like usual. And I had this weird cloth wing guy take off next to us. And he just blasted away on a little two-stroke motor, and I went, oh, that's really cool. And a little while later, I came across Tucker Gott, and well, everybody comes across Tucker Gott, but I had always wanted to fly, and when I saw that, I thought I could actually afford that. So saved and saved and saved and saved for 3 years or so. I finally got a wing, and I finally got a motor, and learned to fly this last February. So I've been flying for 8-9 months, somewhere in the 25-hour range, and I think I'm up to about 80 flights if gaggle is to be believed. So I've just been doing that for fun, and recently I had a background in video editing in college. I decided I'd start recording these things, so I bought a bunch of GoPros, and I fly with 4 of them. So if I can't make good content, I'll at least get it from several angles.
That is incredible. That's a lot of GoPros to fly with. It looks like I see on the screen that you fly with chase cam. You fly with what, a wing cam too, I suppose?
Yeah, you can see it on the right wingtip there looking down. I've got one on a selfie stick up in front of me, and then one on the helmet that also gets all the audio for every flight.
That is incredible. What's really interesting is that when you have a birthday with balloons, it's a little bit different than most people's birthdays with balloons. That's really awesome.
Yeah, it's a strange way to fly, but it's pretty peaceful. I like it.
So you were 4 years old taking your first a balloon ride, or
4 months.
4 months old?
Yeah, and I've been flying ever since. I actually just got back from a balloon rally in Statesville, North Carolina, just this last weekend, yesterday.
That is awesome. I love that how you had it off to the side from your wing instead of straight down. That's a pretty good shot. I never thought about side. I always put mine straight above me, so that's pretty awesome.
You get some cool panning shots like that.
That is so neat. So you are how old right now?
27, last I checked.
You're 27 years old. You've been flying since you were 4 months old. Now that's incredible. You said that you went to college and you got some video editing under your belt. You fly paramotors and all sorts of other ultralights. Do you have a pilot's license too, or you just fly ultralights?
No. The paramotor is the only ultralight I have. I'd love to get a fixed wing one, but I can't afford anything fixed wing that fits in a hangar, because then I'd have to rent a hangar. Similarly, hot air balloons, you need a big truck, and you need a trailer, and you need a bunch of people helping you. So this packs down nice and small, and it's a single person job. I don't need any assistance with it. So that's more my chosen form of flight. It's probably going to be the big one for a while. I'll still fly other things, but it's definitely the most affordable way to do it in my book.
I totally agree with you. I don't know. I don't think I'll ever get my pilot's license because I don't have the money for a hangar and a plane and all that other stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
I'd like to be able to pack up everything in my car, you know? I mean, Smart Car Brian packs up everything in his little smart car. But if we are, since we're going to be talking about your AirJet that you got from AliExpress in Japan, China, for $2,500, tell us a little bit about that and what kind of modifications did you need to do to make that actually work over here?
Oh boy. Well, first and foremost, it needed a lot of safety tweaking. So if anybody's considering getting one, you really have to be ready to fool with it. I wouldn't recommend it for a first-time pilot. But what I got in the mail came with a pretty crappy propeller. If you get a 32-inch propeller for a model airplane that's meant for this engine, that's really the only modification needed to make it actually fly. Yeah, that split propeller right there, those are no good. I tried it, it didn't make enough power. Swapping out the propeller gave me a big enough kick to get me in the air. But other than that, it was flyable. The big things that I had to change were harness and wiring related. So the biggest flaw for me was the harness buckle down at the very bottom had a cinch strap, like what you'd press to release trimmers. And it was oriented in a way where when you sit down, your thighs would press them and release the shoulder straps.
Oh my gosh.
Mid-flight, which isn't a great idea. Yeah, I'm sorry I'm blanking on his name, but there was another pilot who got one of these about the same time I did, and he is down in Texas, and he had that same problem, but mid-flight, his strap went through his propeller. So that was a pretty big no-no in my book. But there were a couple of fuel line problems. They used PVC for part of the fuel line, which is not rated for fuel. There were exhaust studs falling out, so I got longer exhaust studs. Basically just trial and error, figuring out what it needed, what wasn't included. There was no instruction book, so just kind of stumbling through it. And again, because no instruction book, not necessarily recommended for first-time unexperienced pilots unless you've got somebody looking over your shoulder. But I mean, it flies and it works. It's built well, it's all welded aluminum. Nothing's falling apart. The harness is actually really comfortable. Just needed some tweaks, and you kind of have to figure out what those tweaks are on your own. That's why it's kind of risky for new people.
How did you find this in the first place, and what made you go, I'm gonna buy this and see what we can do? Was this your first paramotor, or was this like something in the after you've been flying for a while?
Yeah, this was actually my third. My first one, and the one that I learned on, was a Gravity Defiant. That's the one where the fuel tank is the frame and everything attaches to the fuel tank. I got that because it breaks down quick and easy with no need for tools. And after that, I thought, I've got this big paramotor and I live in a city. I'll keep it at my apartment, but I'd like to have something that I can fly out and about, especially from my parents' area. They live a little ways north of me, out in a rural spot. So I actually started designing an electric one. There's a paraglider pilot who built a self-launch electric paramotor that's basically an 8-foot long carbon fiber tube with propellers on the end.
Yep, I've seen that. I would
up in New Jersey.
I would love to be able to get one of those.
They're cool, but they're really cumbersome. And I went and built one, and I actually got a hop out of it, but I realized this was way too clunky for what I was looking for, which was lightweight and transportable. I didn't really mind the flight time as long as I could take it with me. So once I realized that, I started, of course, after I spent the $5,000 to build it, I started looking around at other smaller ways to fly, and I stumbled across a video on YouTube of somebody back in, I want to say it was like 2016. It's a Chinese guy flying a paramotor with a DLE 170, which is an RC airplane engine that I recognized from my experience in the RC airplane world. And I thought that might work because its thrust is about the same as the electric thing that I put together. So I took my electric contraption, cut the tube in half, shipped it to a guy who bought it in Canada, who was building something with it, I don't know, and used that money. And actually, when I just Googled paramotor DLE 170, this one popped up. I hopped on AliExpress and I went, well, PayPal will cover me if it gets lost. So hit buy, and this is what I got.
So this is a twin cylinder, 177 cc's, which is it pretty comparable as far as thrust for the 185? I mean, if this is 177 cc's and a Moser is 185 cc's, what's the difference in thrust and power?
Yeah, it's actually smaller. So the first thing you'll see is that there's no redrive. So no pulley, no gearbox, which means you're limited to a small propeller spinning really fast, which is less efficient. So I actually did a lot of ground tests in a comparison video between this and my Defiant. This one puts out 90 pounds of thrust, which is not a lot. I think the Defiant came in at like 160 or 170 pounds of thrust. So it's obviously very underpowered. It's weaker than an Atom 80, but the Atom 80 has that redrive. This actually has the same horsepower as an Atom 80, but with a lower compression. So it should be more durable, longer lived, but time will tell on that.
That's really interesting. So tell me, what do you feel as far as power with this compared to your Moser 185? Does it feel like it's just like half the thrust?
Yeah, yeah. I think the climb rate is probably more like a third the climb rate.
Third, okay.
And it still climbs. On my first flight with this thing, it actually got me off the ground quicker than I expected it to. Where I fly, I'm very, very lucky to have a family friend who owns a small airstrip. It's just grass, probably about 3,000 feet long. So that morning the wind was across the runway. I expected to have to inflate, run about 400 feet, do a right turn, and continue down the runway until I got into the air. But it got me off the ground about I'd say probably 150, 200 feet with maybe 3 or 4 mile an hour headwind. So, definitely underpowered, and the climb rate's low, but it was quicker than I expected. So I'm happy with it. It fills the gap that I wanted: small and portable and lightweight.
Yeah, this would be really good for people right around 100 pounds.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That is so neat.
There you go. Look at that. Got my name on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For anybody who's familiar with the Fresh Breeze style of hoop, the hoop system is very, very similar to Fresh Breeze. So that should give you an idea of how it's put together and how it all holds together. It's well thought out, well tested.
That's so cool. It's okay, as the girls say, it's so cute.
No, it's intriguing, really. I mean, it's
It
size
is.
and everything, it's compactness. I mean, it's kind of one of the, I don't know how long this company's been in business, but it'd be interesting to see what they evolve to in 10 years,
Yeah.
Because there's got to be a learning
I mean,
curve to all this.
It's pretty interesting. Guys, is there any questions in the super chat?
You've got one from Mad Sloper. He wants to know, what modification did you do once you received the PPG from China?
Oh boy.
Yeah, yeah, it's a big one.
Okay. So the video we're seeing here is my video on modifications, and it's a long one. So I sewed the bottom buckles to not loosen anymore. I sewed those shut. I installed a bolt that went through the J-arm, because these are J-arms, it's not swing arms. It's a fixed high hang point. I had to put a bolt through there. I guess that's what was intended to be there, to attach the frame to the J-arm. Again, no manual, and there wasn't a bolt included. I had to clean up the engine wiring. It was really close to getting chewed up by the main gear that was run by the starter. The fuel line needed standoff so it didn't rattle around. The fuel line itself, the top upper portion was PVC, not actual fuel line, so I changed that out. The engine exhaust bolts were too short, so they rattled out after about 30 minutes of total runtime. I ended up actually putting a new exhaust that a guy in Thailand builds for these engines for paramotor flying. So it actually turns it into a 2-to-1 manifold, proper expansion chamber, and a good muffler. And then the big one was the propeller. So the prop it came with was total garbage. It was advertised to run somewhere in the 6,000 RPM range. And with that prop on there, I barely hit 45. It was just slowing it down too much. So I took that off, and I got a Zoar XOAR brand. That's an RC airplane brand propeller manufacturer. Carbon fiber, 32-inch, 12-inch pitch. And that gave me 1,500 RPMs right there, and made enough thrust to get me off the ground. So those are the big ones. But as far as danger goes, it would definitely be the harness unbuckling itself and wires getting wrapped into the gear and exhaust falling off. Those are probably the most important. So it's a pretty long list, and if a newbie didn't know what they were looking for, they'd probably miss a lot of it.
Yeah, that's kind of spooky. So has the manufacturer gotten in touch with you at all?
No, AliExpress has a review thing, kind of like eBay does, but it closes. I think it's after 60 days, and I wasn't able to get this together and get it flying 60 days after paying. It took almost a month to get to me, and then once it took me probably a good 3 or 4 months after that to figure out all the quirks and get it in the air. So I was never able to leave a review on any of it, which kind of sucks for me. I can still message them back and forth, but I really knew what I was getting into. I didn't buy this expecting it to work off the shelf. I bought this because I knew it would be a project. I knew it would be small and light, and that's what I was looking for. I knew the engine was good enough, to push somebody into the air. And I figured as long as the welds were good and the harness was solid and the engine doesn't fall off, it'll be enough. And it was. But I picked it up knowing that I was going to have to do a lot of work to get it working.
Right on.
Very interesting. I mean, I loved watching your videos, which is why, I asked you to be on the show, because it's just really amazing that you can get something, you pick up something for $2,500 and do some modification, and now you can fly it. I guess one of the questions is, how much money did you put into it to make the modifications for it to be flyable?
Well, I started without knowing the propeller was the problem, thinking that the engine didn't have good compression or didn't have a decent tuned exhaust, and that's why I was losing power. So I paid another, I think it was $350 for the exhaust, which will show up eventually in one of my flying videos. And I think it was about $60 or $70 for a new set of rings. This engine is pretty popular in the RC world. So there's a company that makes rings pre-machined to increase compression on the engine. So I dropped those in before I even tried to fly it. And I didn't need the exhaust or the rings. It just needed a new prop. So $2,600. It didn't come with the battery to run the electric starter, which was expected. That's just a little drone battery. It's a 22-volt LiPo battery. And I think it was $180 for the propeller. And that would have gotten it in the air. I went a little overkill, but really just the propeller would have made it fly. So not far off from that $2,500 to $2,600 mark.
Okay, so it wasn't all that expensive if you just replaced the prop. You think that the exhaust and the rings actually helped at all? I mean, if somebody got this, they replaced the prop with the prop that you suggest. Do you think that the rings and the exhaust would be beneficial?
I mean, it's beneficial. It's a loud engine, and the exhaust isn't really a muffler. It's more like a exhaust director. If you see the exhaust on the back of it, it looks like a little Gatling gun. They're just pipes. So it's very loud, very raspy, louder than any Moster or Atom 80 or anything. So I get the exhaust for sound reasons, but it did give me about 5% more RPM. I know RPM and thrust don't track exactly, but with everything else the same, as you increase RPM, you increase power. So rings didn't actually change power. The exhaust helped a little bit, but the propeller picked up about 20%. So it really was all in prop.
And this is not pull start. This is electric start.
Yep. It's e-start only. And actually how it's put together is the starter motor has a planetary gearbox and then bolts onto a plate that the motor mounts to. And there's a one-way bearing. If anybody here is into RC cars, especially gas-powered RC cars, one-way bearings on clutches and transmissions are pretty common. So it's a one-way bearing to spin that up. There's no pulls to break off or anything like what everybody's used to on Mosters with the pull start. So it's actually pretty reliable. And it's cool because I'll be flying around, kill it. I'm super light, so my sink rate's very low. And then when I feel like blasting off again and start it up, just right there on the throttle.
So without gas, you said it's about 45-ish pounds?
Yeah.
That's really super light. And the gas tank is only 1 gallon, yes?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, exactly 1 gallon. You can see in the video there, I actually measured it out just to make sure, but it is exactly a gallon.
So when you fill it up to the full 1 gallon and you go fly, have you flown it to where you drained it out so you can see how long this will actually last for 1 gallon?
I have not flown it empty. I'm a little scared to run out of fuel for any reason, even if it's just experimentation. I've done 45 minutes on it, and I was left with just under a quarter. So I'd expect it would be somewhere in the neighborhood of an hour. So
Look
it's
at that
about 4
little,
liters.
look at that. It's so small. I mean, it doesn't, I mean,
Yeah.
it looks like a, it's so small. That
Bill
is
Lake
amazing.
said the Fly It Wyatt flew that when he first started. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand Fly It Wyatt, you know, I mean, being under 100 pounds and being 10 years old or 8 years old, I think, when he started flying. That's pretty interesting. Now, what size wing do you fly with that? Do you fly something that's boaty and very lifty, or do you fly something else?
Yeah, so I got a smoking deal on a Gravity wing. Gravity, the same brand as my Defiant. You know, they also make glider wings. They make very affordable glider wings. So I'm on it's called an Extend 20. It's a 28 meter, which is I'm just under the minimum recommended weight, which is kind of sketchy, but it's very floaty. I've also flown it on my Mojo, which was my first wing. It's a Mojo Power 2 26 meter, and I've flown it on an APCO hybrid, which is the front half's a double skin, the back half's a single skin, and that was a size medium, which I think is a 23 meter. And it flew great, and it climbed just fine on all 3 of those.
Wow, very interesting. I mean, this motor is so small. I mean, it just, and the whole frame is just so small, but it gets you up in the air, huh? I mean, have you flown an Atom 80 before?
I have not. No, I'd like to. I think it'll strike a nice balance of weight to power, but I haven't gotten any. I don't know of anybody near me who flies with one, so haven't had a chance to.
Gotcha. Yeah, that'd be really neat for you to be able to put on an Atom 80 and feel the difference between this at 177 direct drive cc's and an Atom 80 that's, you know, 80 cc's, but has
Yeah.
a reduction.
They're the same horsepower, and I'd love to find somebody who can make a reduction for this engine, because this engine weighs, I think it's 5 or 6 pounds less than an Atom 80. So you could have Atom 80 kind of power if you just put a reduction belt on it and save some weight, and you think you have a really nice little setup there.
What do
Extra
you
power.
weigh, Avery?
I weigh 165, 75 kilograms.
Yeah, Atom 80 would sure do it.
Yeah. I decided that I wanted to be able to punch out, and I figured I'm probably only going to get heavier. So I went with the 185, which I still stand by. I think it was a good choice. I trimmed a tree on one of my first takeoffs ever, but yeah, I'm happy with it. Sure, there were some fit and finish issues. When I got it, DHL had put it in a different box, covered in this item has been repacked tape, so it was kind of scuffed and scraped up. I don't know what the shipping issue was, but it did finally get to me. And, you know, the welds, not all of them are centered, but they are all quality. So somebody over there knows what they're doing, at least, just with a little more quality assurance. It might be a really, really tight setup.
Yeah, man, you could probably teach them a thing or two.
I can't weld, so maybe not.
So you do a lot of videos, and right now, as we're doing our interview, if you're watching the show, and you can always go to ClearPropTV.com to watch the show if you're listening to us right now, we are watching your videos in the background as we're doing the interview, and we saw you fly around with the balloons, and now you're actually talking about how to work with your chase cam. So you use a lot of chase cams views on your videos.
Yeah, since I got it, this is a PPG Smoke version 2 chase cam. I had really lousy luck with chase cams.
Really?
That was kind of my Pentultimate camera angle that I didn't have. And so I have one on my helmet, one on the wings, one on a selfie stick, then I wanted a chase cam. But I probably blew at least half of my launches. With the chase cam attached, it would be tangled up, it'd be upside down, it'd be flying sideways, the camera angle would be off. It was really bad. So in this video, I'm going through everything I did, but the biggest thing I realized with this chase cam, and really with any chase cam, was you can just put a sock in between the camera and the birdie body to stop the tangles. And since I've done that, I've had absolute 100% launch success, probably 2 or 3 dozen flights like that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So sock your cam, gotcha.
Yeah. little better impact protection for it too, I guess. But just that keeps the cable from wrapping around in between the camera and the body and tangling it all up. So even with my crappy setups, it's been perfect launches.
That's really interesting. I use the Session 5, the little cube, for my chase cams. I never put anything else on it, but I didn't even think about that. Very interesting.
Yeah, I've got a Session 5, but the GoPro 8s that I've got for everything else, they all shoot 2.7K 60 frames, and the Session 5 caps out at 30. So I wanted them all to match, and might be a reason why I'm doing so bad with my launches. But Hero 8 works great.
That is awesome. Well, you guys in the super chat, we are going to be giving away a couple of things tonight. So make sure you say something in the super chat. Make sure you tag Will Fly in the super chat and let him know that you want to be on the spinny wheel of winning things. We are going to be giving away a travel mug tonight, and also Wade Collins is going to be making a logo for a lucky winner. He's the one that's been making logos for Paramotor Arkansas, for ClearProp, and he's been doing really good. I mean, he's amazing at what he does, and he is donating his services to someone out there that needs their very own logo. I mean, I got my very own logo here. Stay Bad has his very own logo. Everybody, Lift Paramotor has his very own logo. Everybody has their own logo. Well, almost everybody does. But if you don't and you need one, we are going to be giving away your very own custom logo. Tonight we are talking with Avery Colburn. He is the guy that's been flying the AirJet from Avery Express. It's a little tiny 45-pound, really tiny paramotor that he got from China. And he's telling us about how he got it, the different modifications that he's done to it, and of course flying it. It's been very, very interesting. Will Fly, do we have everybody ready to do a quick spinny wheel of anything, or do we need to wait a little bit?
No, I mean, we could do it because I've only got to add one more person that just popped in. What's up, Sean Nasker?
All right, Sean made it.
And I think we are ready to go.
All right, so we are going to give away a travel mug, and you must be present to win. Last week, Z won, but Z never got up with me, so I assume that he didn't want it, and we're just throwing it back in the pot. If you don't want your gift, don't worry about it. You don't have to have it. We'll just throw it back in the pot. But if you want it, make sure that you're here and you type in on the super chat, I'm here and I want it. All right, let's go ahead and do the spinny wheel of anything, and let's go ahead and give away a travel mug from Vortex Aero.
All right. Can you see it just fine?
Look at that guy.
Yeah, look at that.
Who is that guy in the spinny wheel of winning things?
Crazy. I hope I never do wingovers like that.
Yeah, you're going inverted now, dude.
It looks like you're doing it looks like you're doing a big barrel roll or something.
Austin from the Paramotor said your new nickname's going to be Avery Express.
Oh no.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, you know what? I've been saying Avery Express
I like that,
for the last couple of weeks. So yeah, maybe you're PPG Avery Express now.
Are you ready to do this thing?
Let's do it. This is for a travel mug. Who is the lucky person in the chat? And don't forget, we got one more spinning wheel winning things at 8 o'clock. So you must be present to win. And we'll be doing that in about 30 minutes. Angela Preslick. Woohoo! Congratulations. Yep. You win. Woohoo!
Congratulations, Angela.
Awesome. Just text me with your name and address, and we'll get that out to you as soon as possible. Avery, tell us a little bit more about this AliExpress, not Avery Express. Well, I don't know. Maybe it's an Avery Express. We'll just go ahead and do that. Now, it's a model airplane engine, and it's a DLE 170. Is that correct?
Yep.
All right. So tell us a bit about that engine. How does that work? I mean, obviously you said that you know about the engine because you fly model airplanes.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
I've never flown a plane big enough to need that engine, but I've been around them long enough. Smaller single engine version. It's two stroke like everything else we use, just two cylinders opposed, sideways instead of the single. It's loud. It has I think it's a 7,000 RPM red line, and it makes about 17 horsepower. So it's really not a slouch. It's just being held back by the little propeller. So if anybody out there is listening and can make a redrive that has a belt that drops it down like a 2-to-1 reduction, we could use Atom 80 props on this and get a little more power out of it for a lot less weight.
That'd be really cool. I didn't even think about that. You can actually use an Atom 80 prop. That's neato. So if someone out there is a mechanic that would be able to do something like that, how would they get up with you to be able to, let you know?
Oh, geez. Yeah, my website has a contact me. It's open-gauge.com. And my email is really simple. It's opengauge@gmail. So that website, Open Gauge, is another weird little side project that I've been working on. I actually came up with this before I ever started flying as a way to kind of pass the time. But it's an Arduino microcontroller that works with a barometer and GPS to give you, flight data. You get your heading, direction, return to home distance and direction, how many GPS signals you've got, your speed. It has a clock. It has altimeter, rate of climb. And I put this together because while I was watching Tucker Gott videos, I was afraid he was going to drop his phone, and I didn't want to drop my phone, so I put that together. But most importantly, coming from a lot of 3D printing, it's open source, so it's free. Anybody can make one. The plans are all there. The code is free. You can download it. You can print it yourself. It's about $150 in parts, mostly on Amazon, and you can get everything right there. There's a parts list. The code you can download, make it yourself. Don't have to buy a $500 flight deck.
That is really cool. So if you have a 3D printer, you can print it out. Is there a place to buy it for those of us that do not have a 3D printer, or do you have to have a 3D printer?
No, I'll build you one if you want. It's pretty time intensive, especially on the soldering side. So I charge $190 plus shipping for the full size one that's got GPS. I also make a smaller one that's more oversized wristwatch. It's $120 plus shipping. The wristwatch version just does altimeter and rate of climb.
Okay, so get up with you at opengauge@gmail.com. Is that correct?
Yep.
And go to the website, open-gauge.com, and check it out. Build it yourself, or you will make it for us and ship it out. That's really awesome, man.
Yeah, it's a little plain. It's all just text, but it's cheap. It's cheaper than any other flight deck I've seen.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So very curious, everyone out there in the super chat, would you be interested in having something like this instead of your iPhone or your Android? Would you rather have this than have your phone when you're flying? Let us know in the super chat. Will, Jim, keep an eye on what they say. I'm very interested in that. Avery, so you are pretty skilled at a lot of things. I didn't even realize that you built that little flight deck thing. What else do you do for the sport? Because that's pretty awesome.
For the sport, I'm not sure there's a whole lot else that I've contributed. I guess I've built a few teaching aids, if that counts.
Yes.
I've made a flexible wing cutaway diagram. It's 3D printed, and it has all kinds of, it's got A's, B's, C's, brakes. You can tug on them, and they'll all move. So I guess that's kind of cool. I think I got the idea from Anthony Bandera. Is that his name?
Yeah,
He's a
yeah,
free flight guy.
Yeah, he does a lot of videos too,
Yeah.
and he's very active.
He 3D printed a segmented wing, and I thought, well, I want to put risers on it. So I put together one that's attached to a billboard, a whiteboard. So I made that. I've made a couple of little models, paramotor pilot, and then a wing over top of them, just so you can swing it around and tell people about how it works. But
So there it is, right there, right? That's it.
Yep. Yeah, that's the cutaway view. So it has speed bar on front. It's got brakes in the back. It actually has trims on the seats. I couldn't make the little ratcheting button thing that extends them out. So it's just a little hook that sits inside of a loop that I sewed onto the risers. So you release the hook and it pops out and actually reflexes the trailing edge of that.
Oh my goodness, that's so neat. Do you sell those on your website also?
I don't sell them, but they are on a website called Thingiverse. It's a free download 3D printing file sharing website. So you can find it on Thingiverse if you've got a printer. It was super labor intensive. I really don't want to build another one.
That's pretty cool, man. Really?
Yeah.
Really neat.
It's different. It helps when people are like, I don't understand how this works. What's the difference between reflex and non-reflex? What does speed bar do? You can kind of sit there and show it to them right there.
You need to build one of those for airspace.
Yeah, a 3D model for airspace would make some sense. Be a little hard to diagram everything, but I'll think about it.
And when you do, put on Thingiverse so we can print that out. That's pretty cool.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
We got a
So-
couple questions in the
Oh,
chat.
okay.
I'll take one. Well, Jim, actually, you got one there from Steve Goodpaster.
Yeah, he was asking if you're going to be the #1 importers for the US market.
I don't know that I will be. It's for a very specific kind of pilot, and I wouldn't buy it for anybody over 160 pounds. Even then, it's pretty low powered, pretty restricted on flight time. I've got no interest in being an official importer, but surely there's somebody out there. And there are other people who are making paramotors with this engine, so you can find similar sized units for around the $2,000 to $3,000 mark, depending on where you look. There's a guy in Thailand who makes a bunch of these too.
Right on. Bill H is asking, so you can still fly the paramotor now, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
still
I flew it last week.
all right. And then same Steve Goodpaster, would an Atom 80 prop run into interference with the hoop or extend way beyond?
Yes, absolutely. So the original propeller is 32 inches, and if my math is correct, that's 87 centimeters. I don't know of any Atom 80 prop that's under 110. So yeah, please don't try to just bolt an Atom 80 prop on there. It's the hoop, the outer edges of the hoop, I think was 35 inches. So
you'd have to make sure your technique was really on spot. I mean,
yeah,
try that.
and more importantly, you get to a point of diminishing return. I looked up a graph, a chart that a propeller company called Falcon made, and they include a lot of popular RC airplane engines, including this one. And they have static thrust tables for all kinds of engines. And this engine can run a 36-inch prop, but you actually lose power because it spins slower, because it's heavier and longer and has more drag. So 32 by 12 is the sweet spot for this engine. Unless you have a gear reduction, then you can swing a bigger propeller. But nobody makes a gear reduction yet. So
Yeah.
until then, we're stuck with the 32-inch.
Right on. Did you by chance see Joshua Marsh's invitation to you?
I did not.
Yeah, he says that if anytime you're in North Alabama, you can fly his top 80.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's on my list. Unfortunately, everybody in my little cadre is flying 185s or Polini 190s. So it'd be nice to get on something that's not that for once.
Right.
If you ever make it to Central Arkansas, we got Atom 80s at the school. You're more than welcome to try that and try different wings. We also got a EOS 100 and we got a HE 125. So we got step ups.
Yeah, I like trying all kinds of things. I've flown under 6 different wing types. 7 if you count kiting in really high winds with a ground handling wing.
I think that counts. Ground handling.
Yeah. Okay, well, there's 7 of them.
Sure, we'll count it. It's no big deal. So how many hours do you think you have? I mean, when was the date that you took your solo, and how long you been flying? How many flights? And you've really been taking a lot of flights then. I
try to. I don't like flying super long, but yeah, I try to get the numbers in at least with the takeoffs and landings. So I don't keep a super accurate log, unfortunately. My dad beats me up about that. I think I'm somewhere in the 80 range. So I started using Gaggle when I hit something like 50 flights, and I probably forget about 1 in 3. And Gaggle says I'm now up near 70. So that's my estimation, and I'm sticking to it. Similarly, my Defiant, the main paramotor, its hour meter went out at 22 hours, and that was about 2 months ago. So if Gaggle is to be believed, I've got 4 hours on the little AirJet and somewhere in the 28-hour range on the big one. So 30-ish, you know, it's kind of hard to pin down. And I'm lucky we don't have to keep track of it because I have not. I would be in big trouble.
I think once you start flying a lot, you just don't keep track. I mean, it's just not a thing to do. I mean, when you first start flying, I think it's a thing to do because like, oh, I'm a paramotor pilot. I got, 5 flights and, 30 hours under my belt. But, once you crank over 2, 3, 4, 5,000, flights and hours, you forget.
Yeah. It's definitely not as rigid, even with hot air balloons. My dad's been flying hot air balloons longer than I've been alive, and he's super rigid about filling out his logbook, and he always gets on my case for not doing it. But that's part of the blessing is being in America with Part 103. We really don't have to do much of anything. Just stay out of everybody's way.
Pretty much, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, what are you flying right now in this video? What wing do you have? If you know, and
yeah, this is my Ozone Mojo. I bought this one from Tucker Gott when he was doing one of his AirJet giveaways. So I thought I'd chip in my, push all my chips, go all in, and got the wing before I could afford the motor. For that reason, I thought I might have a chance at winning. Obviously, I didn't, or I'd be flying the AirJet. But it's a Ozone Mojo Power 2 26 meters, and the motor's a Gravity Defiant with the Motor 185 plus. I did not go E-start, and I regret it. I would take the 2 extra pounds for the hit a button and go. The Defiants are very tall, so the fuel line that goes to the bottom of the tank takes forever to prime it, and then it's probably a 6 to 8 pulls to get it started. I've got another guy who flies with me, and his is the same exact way. It's just the length of the fuel line.
Wow,
So
crazy.
E-start would have been nice. Yeah, live and learn.
Now, those animaties will start like on the first pull almost every single time. It's crazy.
Rub it in. No, I really think it's the frame though, because I've got most of the people I fly with fly on PAP tin oxes, and their fuel tank is relatively the bottom of it, very close to the engine. And they'll start reliably second or third pull, but not me. I'm too cool for that, I guess.
Hey, Angela Preslick said that the area you're flying over is beautiful. Isn't that North Carolina?
Yep. Yeah. What we are seeing here is out of my location in the Yadkin Valley. Sorry to be so vague, but it's not my land. I don't want to publicize it too bad. But yeah, it's central western North Carolina, just before the mountains. So super pretty. The other spot I fly a lot in is in a little town called Pinnacle. And I'll point that one out because it has Pilot Mountain 3 miles away, and it's kind of hard to feign ignorance on that one. But I get to fly around Pilot Mountain, which is a really cool state park. It sticks out like a sore thumb. Everybody knows what it is. It's there in North Carolina. Eventually, I'll fly around it. That's on my list.
Yeah, Pinnacle. That's a great place to fly. Have you stayed at the I can never pronounce the name, but the campsite, campground there?
No, I haven't stayed there, but I've flown around it. It's a cool little spot.
Mm-hmm. It is beautiful.
Yeah, eventually I'll circumnavigate. That's on my list. Should take about an hour and a half.
You mean to go around Pilot Mountain?
Yeah.
You really?
Yeah, there's nothing against flying over the state park, but they can slap you with a noise violation.
Yeah.
So I figured I'd stray just outside the park boundary and stay at least 500 feet up. And,
did you say it was a state park?
Yeah, North
Okay.
Carolina State Park. They can't really get you for busting airspace, but they will absolutely get you for noise violation. So
If they can find you.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I'm only going 22 miles an hour, so they probably can if they really try.
That's funny. So I noticed you were flying low there. Is that like your favorite type of flying to do, to fly low, or?
Yeah, and I think that comes from hot air balloons. I had a student license, and I trained. I probably got about 12 to 13 hours in a hot air balloon, which is actually enough to get a hot air balloon private license. Never went through it, but a lot of balloon flying is down low, kind of terrain following, because you never know where you're going to land, and you want to be ready to land basically whenever the opportunity arises. So the person flying in front of me here, this is Lindsay. He trained at the same school as me. This flight was pretty early in my career, so I'm staying above him and just following and watching how he flies and what he does and when he does it. But especially in this specific field, the trees off to my left are really fun to slalom through. I do that quite often now. So the higher you go, the flatter it gets, and that's just boring for me. So I'll duck down into the fields, and as long as I don't see a deer stand or anything, I'll play around before moving on. Where I fly, I'm lucky enough to have tons of that available.
Have you ever had a motor out where you did not want to have a motor out?
Yeah, I have not. I've intentionally went from full power to motor kill to find out what that would feel like, the surge and checking it. But just starts right up and goes right on. I've never had a motor failure of any kind on either of my motors. I have had objects go through a propeller and highly suggest I land, but it still helps. I still have that prop. So it's never had an emergency, never had to land out, at least not accidentally.
Knock
had
on
pretty
wood.
good luck. Yeah, right.
That's really good. I need to ask, because I usually ask all of our guests, do you fly with a reserve? And if you do, what kind of reserve do you fly with?
I do now. I didn't for the first 50 hours or so. Part of it was a cost thing, but the other part was I was really only flying when my instructor or when another experienced pilot with me said, hey, we're flying, it's going to be great. So I never really put myself in that situation. I did have a really windy flight, we'll call it a flight. It was about 30 seconds, where I went up, found out that the 10 miles an hour on my face was 15 miles an hour above the trees, and I was an idiot for trying. Turned around, came back down, and shipped a propeller. It wasn't anything serious, but ever since then, I'm like, okay, it's probably time for a reserve. But other than that, I felt really safe with all of my gear. Never even come close to trying to throw one, but I do fly with one now. It is a APCO. What do they call theirs? Is it the Mayday? APCO Maydays. It's a round. I know that it's not square, it's round. I want to say it's whatever their medium size is. And the harness that I fly it on is split leg, so I had to have a special container for that. And I do have one coming for the AirJet. Similarly, I've only ever flown that in perfect weather, so wasn't really going to push my luck. But now that I've gotten comfortable with it, it would be a fantastic midday thermaling machine. So I'd like to self-launch that
wouldn't it?
midday thermal, and then front mount reserve. So I've got that on the way too.
Yeah, those front mounts are awesome. I got a front mount only because I knew I was going to be flying different motors, and I didn't know if the motors were going to have reserves. So it's always nice to have a reserve that is keep on your lap.
Yeah, interchangeability is a big one, and I'm going to be using that for what little free flight I do as well. So I'm going to hopefully be getting a P2 rating sort of soon, maybe early next year, and doing a lot of Outer Banks dune hopping. That's my plan, at least. And I'll probably never need it, but I'll have a reserve there too. Might as well fly with it if you got it.
Yeah, if you got it, why not, right?
Yeah.
It's about 5 minutes until 8. We're also going to be doing another spinny wheel of winning things here in about 5 minutes or so. So if you haven't done so already, hit that like button, hit that thumbs up. We're only at 12 right now, and we need as many as we can. That really helps our metrics, and we definitely appreciate it. Wade Collins is the guy that's been doing our logos for Paramotor Arkansas. We got a new website that we're building right now. It's in beta. If you were lucky enough to be one of our beta testers, we're probably going to be doing that for another month or so. Hopefully it will go live before Black Friday, so we can do a lot of really awesome Black Friday deals. We'll be able to sell all the different wings that you can think of, all the different motors. We're going to have throttles, helmets, pretty much anything that you can think of paramotor related, we're going to have on the website, which is going to be really awesome. Make sure you say hi to Will Fly, the PPG guy, because he's going to put you in the spinning wheel of winning things. Wade Collins is the guy that makes the logos. He's going to be making a personal logo for you if you win. How would you like to have something like that, or something like Lift Paramotor, something like Will Fly is over at Will Fly PPG. When you see his videos, it has his own logo. A lot of people have their own logo. Why not you?
Yeah, why not you?
And tonight you will have the opportunity to get a free logo made. We'll be spinning here in just a couple of minutes, so make sure you say hi to us. Hit that thumbs up because it really helps our metrics. And we will continue to talk with Avery after we spin the spinny wheel of winning things. So don't think that this is it. We're still going to talk, but we won't be spinning anything else. Angela Preslick, make sure you text me your name and address when you get to a phone and you're able to. My number is 501-747-3558. If you don't have that in your phone, please put that in your phone. You can text me anytime and talk about paramotors 7 days a week from sun up to sundown. Austin does. We talk all the time.
Not 2 a.m.
No, from sun up to sundown. That's my thing. Sun up to sundown. 7 days a week. We talk paramotors. Gosh, and we talk on the phone too. Just yappity yap. Hours and hours and hours about paramotors. Jeez, it's crazy. 2 more minutes and we're going to be spinning that spinning wheel of winning things.
Hey, I got a $64 million question for Avery.
All right.
Uh-oh.
If you had to answer yes or no to this, would you do the AliExpress again if given the chance, or if knowing what you know now?
You mean Avery Express?
Avery Express. That's right.
Yeah, I would say yes.
Okay.
I got it, and I knew it would need work, and I'm glad it needed work. If that makes sense. I went through it, and it really kind of opened my eyes to what you need in a paramotor, what you don't want in a paramotor. Especially, it actually heavily revised my pre-flight checks. So I pay a lot more attention to the harness. I fly an APCO harness, but I pay a lot more attention to it now. And the geometries and the reasons for how designs are makes a lot more sense, especially with engine mounting and how the mounts flex and how the props are offset. It doesn't have any kind of torque offset. So yeah, the AliExpress actually taught me a lot about how they're put together and what to spot. And it was fun. I enjoy flying it. It turns head. It's about half the height of a normal one. It's a cool little motor. I'm going to keep flying it until it blows up. Then I'm going to replace the engine and keep going.
Yep. Hey, Josh, do me a favor. If you can find a still of him standing there with that paramotor in his back, we'll show that in just a moment because that was pretty cool. I know that we had it in one of the videos, but for people that haven't seen it yet, you got to see it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's
if you look at the first flight video I've got, I go through installing the new exhaust and I wear it for quite a bit on that. You can catch it there.
Well, I know I'm going to look at that card, but that is cute. I mean, just no other word for it. I mean, just like, I would love to have the power of a Moster 185 in that footprint.
Yeah, wouldn't we all? Jeez.
Yeah, man. I mean, so hopefully we're heading that direction.
I wonder if you can, since you easily took off the frame, I wonder if you can make a bigger frame and put it on for a bigger prop.
Yeah, probably. You'd need the gear reduction for it.
Yeah.
But I don't see why not.
That'd be pretty
The
neat.
reduction would space the prop up and you'd have a taller hoop. That makes sense.
Yeah, so I can see that this can be configured in the future. And if people are listening to this or watching this in the future and they're like, hey, this sounds fun because I'm a mechanic / I weld and, I tinker with this stuff. This might be a cool project. And if you do start doing this, please get up with me because we want to see what you can do with this. I mean, if Avery can do what he did with what he knows, I can't imagine what, a mechanical engineer type of person could build. I mean, that's insane. I think it's so cool. It's like, anyway, so it's 8:01. So you're ready to spin the spinning wheel of winning things. This is from Wade Collins. He's going to build, make, and give you your very own paramotor logo. You tell Wade what you want. He will design it for you and he will make it for you absolutely free. And if you want one and you don't know where to find a logo, Wade Collins will very inexpensively take care of you and make you a logo. And we'll put his information down below. I don't know what he wants. He jumped off before we started the show today, and I'm not sure exactly how he wants us to communicate. So anyway, look at that guy on the spinning wheel of winning things. How many likes do we have right now? Do we have any likes? Did
We
get more than
have
12?
31 watching and 24 likes.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for the likes. That definitely helps. We got 31 people. Now we are going to give this away. You must be present to win. So please make sure you say hello and let us know that you do want this logo so we can get that information over to Wade Collins. Will fly at your convenience.
Here we go.
Spin that wheel.
And while it's spinning, shout out to Paramotor NC. We'll be flying with you in a couple of days, Ben. He said he likes your series.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. Everybody knows you. And who do we have that's going to win their very own logo? Is it Bonnie? Oh
Yep.
my gosh, congratulations, Bonnie.
Right on, Bonnie.
Bonnie, you already know my number. We already text back and forth, so just text me where you want. Let me know. Well, actually, I don't need to know. I can just give Wade your information and get you guys together so you can get your own logo. Bonnie wants to fly a trike, so she'll be flying a trike next April of 2023. Gonna go to class, so that's gonna be really awesome, man. Before you even start to learn to fly, you're gonna have your own logo, man. I tell you, that is really cool. Get a YouTube started, because everybody that flies has to have a YouTube channel.
That is that's Bobby, one of the guys at my field. So Bobby just took off, and who's flying right now? This is Josh. He's the other guy who has a Defiant. And then I will attempt to launch, and if my memory serves, fail. Yep, there we go. I'd like to bring to the attention of all YouTubers around that I think what we've got going as far as our video presentations are very, very sterilized, very pure videos. You know, nobody really shows every time they screw up, and I think it probably doesn't help a lot of people who learn. They get really disappointed that they failed 2 or 3 launches in a row. I think we all have. And it's probably a good thing to show that on video. So one of my big personal beliefs is that every time I screw up and I have it on video, I put it in a video. I think that helps a lot of people, because the confidence is a real builder when you know somebody else that you're looking up to is also having problems just like you. Anyways, end of rant. Hot air balloons I can go on about if there's time for it.
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, you're the guest. We can stay on, and you know, like you said, you're going to be eating in about 45 minutes, so we'll make sure that we,
Okay.
you know, we get off the air before then, so you can go eat. As far as the chase cam, you know, I was going to do a video on how to connect the chase cam and how to set it up for a good launch. Let me know real quick, how do you set up? And I love the balloon right there on the screen. We definitely need to talk about that. How do you set up your chase cam? What do you connect to, and how do you set up your chase cam?
So it's on the innermost C line, or D line if you have a D line, not the brake. And on my wing, I don't have one that's dead center, so I use just slightly off to the right. C line with the camera itself sitting at your feet when you go to do a launch. My line is almost long enough to have the camera drag along the ground as I'm kiting, and the top 2 feet of it is elastic. So it kind of has a bungee effect when you hit turbulence, so it smooths the video out. Probably
so your chase cam is by your feet when you launch?
Yes. Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
So when you go running, you'll see the wing fly up overhead, and then the cam gets snatched and it goes with it.
Okay. If you have,
I couldn't tell you the physics about it, but I've tried it with the camera right next to the wing, and it always bounces around and gets thrown around, and usually gets tangled up in something.
okay, so try this. Set it up behind your wing. Have your line go underneath your wing, which would be the top of the wing, but you know, when it's laid out in a wall, it'd be underneath on the grass, right? Goes up to your C line. So as you inflate your wing, it will inflate right behind the trailing edge without a lot of bounce.
Yeah, it's possible. I haven't tried that setup before. Everybody that I know has it down at their feet, but I'll give it a go. And if it's maximized prop, it'll be in a video, I promise.
Yeah, that's what I normally do, and I don't have any problems. So I guess I need to do a video on that because
If that's how I set mine up, Sean. I set it behind. It's basically at the trailing edge of the wing in the center.
Yeah.
I set mine up at my feet.
Okay. Yeah. So I've never set up my feet. That just, I don't know. I'm afraid that it gets sucked in or blown backwards with my prop wash, I guess. I don't know. I've never tried that before. But yeah, so you can put on the trailing edge side, where it's all right on that trailing edge, right next, connected to your C line, or behind your wing, where the line is underneath your wing and then comes up around and connects to your C wing underneath, or your C line underneath. That way, when it inflates, and then it'll pull up your chase cam right behind you.
Well, there you go. See, I learned something else today.
You know what I tell you is so interesting. Every Monday night, I seem to learn something. It may not be about paramotors, but I learned something. Something's always neat. It's like, wow, where'd that come from? I never even thought about that. Like I never knew about the French fry thing in Grace. That's amazing.
Oh, geez.
No, that's an awesome joke. I definitely need to tell that to somebody someplace.
God.
That was funny. I mean, you made me
It was
LOL.
moderately funny. I mean, I kind of enjoyed that one.
Yeah, that was really good. So, okay, so we're watching this inflate. I've never seen this before. Never been really close to a hot air balloon. Now, is this the RC one, or is this the real one that you're going to be lifting up in?
No, this is a real one. So this is my parents' hot air balloon, from the point of view of the pilot during the inflation. So we pack it with a fan, and then the flame heats the air that's already in there. It doesn't add any air. Up at the top, there's that big round red circle at the vent. We pull on that to release air, and squeeze the burner, give it heat to go up. It's one of the simplest ways to fly.
How long can you keep that heat going before it gets too hot and might burn the fabric?
So that's more more dependent on the temperature that the very top of the balloon sees. This balloon is made by a company called Firefly, and they were the only ones that were using polyester, which has a higher melting temperature than the nylon that everybody else uses. So this envelope specifically can go to 300 degrees before you have to worry about it. Pretty much everybody else stops at around 250.
Is there a temperature gauge? I'm assuming there is, but is there a temperature gauge?
Yeah, it's really hard to see. You won't be able to see it in a wide angle shot, but it's a giant round thermometer. It's a little orange spot, and the needle moves around. You know, when you hit the orange, you're at 200 degrees.
Okay.
It's up there, I promise. Yeah,
can you? Okay, Josh, can you go back to where he's filling it up with regular air with the fan? Tell us really quick. Explain as we're watching this how this works. I mean, this is really neat. Once again, things I don't know. A little bit back further, Josh, like to where he was filling up with the fan.
Yeah. So on the ground, we lay it down sideways.
Back a little bit more. Please, Josh. Please, Josh, a little bit more. All right. So you pull it all out like that, and then you use a fan. I guess that's a pretty big fan, or what is that?
Compared to a paramotor, it's pretty small. It's a 5 horsepower, probably the 26, 27-inch propeller. Okay. It's not made for thrust. It's made for movement of cubic feet of air. So it's very thick, very short little blades.
So this is actually designed for inflating a balloon.
Yeah, these fans are either designed for inflating balloons or for moving air to control fires for firefighters.
Oh, okay.
Similar vein. So here we're attaching the tab, the little pieces of Velcro at the top of the balloon. This is the vent where the extra hot air can leave. And this is just a quick time lapse of what it looks like as it inflates. It's just fan pressure doing all of that. So it's all laid sideways, and we try to get as much cold air in it as we can, so you're less likely to burn any of it as you apply heat vigorously. And it's kind of a controlled art, but as you apply heat coming out of the propane tanks there, it stands itself up. And we've got somebody on it's called the crown line way at the very top that's holding it down as it comes up, so it doesn't come up way flying, you'll see me aiming really hard to the left to fight the fan because it's blowing from the left toward the right. You kind of have to counteract it as you go. That burner does 15 million BTUs. I'm not sure how much a house uses, but it's only a couple thousand. So that'll heat several homes many times over.
Wow. So you can cook lots of burgers on that one, huh?
Yeah. And some people do. They'll set them on the ground and they'll turn them on real low and they'll cook burgers on them. And that's fine.
Are you kidding? Or are you serious?
No, I'm dead serious. I see it all the time.
Once again, things I did not know, which is really awesome.
Yeah.
Now, how long does it take to go from flat on the ground to where it's above your head?
About 20 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's time intensive and it's people intensive. So I'm flying. My dad's in the basket with me right there. My mom's on the right side, and not seen behind the camera is there she is. On the left is another local crew person. So it's 4 of us just to get this one thing up and off the ground. But it's super peaceful when you're not running the burner. It's completely silent.
I see like a what is that? A toggle there? What's that toggle for?
Which one?
I see one right in front. Yeah, they're like on the. You see that toggle? Go back a little bit.
The one hanging from the rope, or
right there.
Okay. So dead center, the brown bit is the handle, and the black switch just to the side of it is called the blast valve. That's what you squeeze to make heat. There's 2 others right next to it. One's for the pilot light that stays lit all the time. The other one's for an emergency backup. The little one he circled there, that's the crown line that was being held way down at the very top of the balloon so that it doesn't stand up too fast. Actually, if you don't have anybody on the crown line, it'll stand up so fast that it flips all the way over and smacks the ground on the other side.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you ever done a splash and dash?
I have. Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah.
That's
You
a
have to get
flip
lucky.
drag for a balloon.
Yeah. On the water.
Okay, that sounds.
Yeah. So you can dunk you basically do like you said, a foot drag. Fly straight and level. You come down on a body of water, just float along there. The basket's actually, it's all wicker, so it is somewhat buoyant. I've gotten up to my ankles in water doing that.
Oh, no way. So it's not waterproof, right?
No, it's not waterproof. It's just like a wicker trash basket.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm gonna have to ask you because I don't understand. How do you control where you go? I mean, how does that work? I mean, I assume that you look at winds aloft and you try to figure out where you're gonna go.
Yep.
But how does that work? Like, how do you plan a trip? I guess that's what I asked.
So this flight, the winds were coming from the south to the north, but up high they were going northeast. And as the flight went on, they actually hooked a little harder to the west. So there was a right turn if you go high and a left turn if you go low. And at this point, it's still about 15 minutes before landing. On the left side of the screen, I picked out a church that I was going to try to land on. So my plan was to stay high, to keep to the right, and then as I descend to go left, I put myself in line for the church, and I did make that church. I was pretty proud of that. But it's all wind based. So sometimes you don't get a lot of steerage. Sometimes you get 180 degrees of steerage. It's very, very unplanned, and we basically land wherever we can get permission to land, wherever we end up. Most people are pretty psyched about it.
What if you land in some place that you weren't expecting to land? I mean, nobody really cares, right? I mean,
like this church, there wasn't anybody there. This was a Saturday morning. So just landed and put it away and left our business card on the front of it. But if you land somewhere that you can't get to, sometimes we'll actually take off again. Keep flying until we do get to a place we can get to, because there's no turning around. So the chase crew in the van is following, and when we get to where we land, they come out and we take it apart and we put it back in the van and drive home. So every flight is a landing out.
That is so cool. I know that when we fly around hot air balloons, they go up really quick. Like if they needed to go up really quick and throw on that burner, it can shoot up really quick. So if you fly a paramotor and you're around a hot air balloon, never fly above the hot air balloon. Is that correct, Avery?
Yeah, there's a few different reasons for it. The big one is they can't see you. So at a hot air balloon rally where there's several balloons, the balloon that's below you has a right of way. So if they start to ascend, you as the person above them with better visibility downward have to ascend to stay out of their way. So, it looks small in this video because it's a super wide angle lens, but there's really, 60 feet left and right and forward and backward if you're looking straight up that you can't see. So you don't want to fly over a balloon because they won't be able to see you, but also they're a flying thermal. I've never flown over a balloon because I have better sense, but if they were to decide to descend and open the vent at the top of the balloon, you'd get a very strong thermal as you're flying over the balloon. So it's kind of dangerous for us too. And it's going to be a rough ride. Definitely don't try to, wingtip or foot drag the balloon envelope. I'm sure you could, but
I guarantee a lot of us have thought about that.
Yeah,
We haven't done it, but
So that would
It's
be
possible.
extremely dangerous.
yeah.
I mean,
it's,
you would have to be in contact with each other by radio, know exactly that you're going to do something like that, not just flying over somebody's random balloon, because you could probably lose a wing if they start to descend and open that flap, huh?
or
Yeah.
worse. Yeah.
Yeah, and a balloon is actually a lot more durable than our paragliders. They don't really collapse. They can actually fly in more turbulence than we do. And there have been tests with balloons with a third of their fabric removed from random spots all over, top, middle, and bottom, that can still fly, missing a third of their fabric. So it's really a danger for paragliders because, the slightest little thing, we can get sent off into a spiral. But balloons are much more durable and a bigger bully to us, I think, than most people realize. But also, we don't want to, give ourselves a bad rep. Hot air balloons and paramotors fly same time, same places. So you want to have good relations because you each get really good pictures of the other. I think it's worth keeping a friendly relationship. You don't want to piss anyone off. And another big thing, hot air balloons are expensive. This setup we've got here is pretty small, and brand new, it would run somewhere in the $25,000 range, not including the vehicle and the trailer that you need to support it. So to offset that, pretty much every balloon pilot I know takes paid rides. So people, often couples, that are looking for a getaway or a romantic trip or celebrating an anniversary or birthday, and they don't want to get bugged, by our little motors, buzzing around them all the time. So hot air balloon flights are about an hour, and you don't want to turn 30 minutes of that into an annoying mosquito flying around the balloon, buzzing away. So my biggest advice is to come by, say hi, probably stay within about 300 feet or more. Don't fly over the balloon and then go away. That's the big one. The balloons are out there because it's a peaceful way to fly. We're kind of annoying to them. We're cool, but after a little while, it gets old.
Paramotors are annoying to the balloons. Gotcha.
Yeah, mostly to the passengers. They're paying upwards of $300 a person a lot of times. So don't want to spoil their experience and leave the balloonist with a bad taste.
So fly by, stay at least 500 feet away, wave at them, and buzz away. That way you both get pictures of each other and everybody is happy.
Yeah, unless you're in cahoots and you've got something else planned, I wouldn't get too close.
Awesome.
Hey, I've seen them land before, and usually it looks like the basket tips over. Is that the normal way to land, or is it more ideal to land is there a way to avoid that, or what?
It depends on the wind. So if the basket's tipping over and it's dragging, it's because they landed in wind. This flight that we had was about 2 miles an hour when we touched down. Oftentimes in the morning flights, the winds will pick up as you get later. We all know that. But a balloon is like a sailboat. If the sails are out, the boat wants to go all the time. There's no stopping it. So if you land in 5 mile an hour winds, you'll need about 200 feet. And you'll be tipped over sideways as you go. My dad has landed in 25 mile an hour winds. He planned for it, and we were flying over sod farms. So he had hundreds of acres to land in. And he said it was one of his smoothest landings ever, but it was completely deflated by the time he stopped.
Wow.
So the tipping over part's just part of the landing.
I got a question. The baskets, how much do they weigh, and are they all are they always all the same size, or you have different sizes?
No.
Or how many
Yeah,
people
they're-
can you actually put in there in those baskets? You know, legally, whatever, safely.
Yeah, it varies a lot, and most of that is dependent on how big the envelope is. So the bigger you go on the envelope size, the more you can lift. So you know, you'll see some really big ride balloons that can carry 15 to 20 people. Their
Wow.
baskets weigh over 1,000 pounds, and
Wow.
their balloons are, you know, several orders of magnitude bigger than what we've got. Our balloon is on the smaller side; it's 77,000 cubic feet. We typically carry 2 people plus the pilot. There's not a whole lot of room for anything else. But as you go bigger on balloon size, you usually get a bigger basket for that reason. You know, it can carry more, so you might as well carry more people.
I always thought they were all, you know, baskets, they're all the same size and everything, but I always wondered, how do they fit all those people in that
Yeah,
basket?
you know.
You see some of the stuff on, you know, the TV, whatever.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Some of them aren't even the same shape. The one we fly is made by a company called Firefly, and they're the only ones that make triangle baskets. Everybody else does squares or rectangles. So they're not even all the same shape between manufacturers. It's like Ford and Chevy. You know, they all do stuff a little different.
Very cool. I bet those, the balloon itself, everybody has their personalized ones. I'm sure the personalized ones, you know, with the names on it and stuff, they probably cost a lot of money, right?
Yeah, it's a lot like paragliders. You can get stock colors, or you can pick your own colors, but there's a longer wait time and it costs more. Very, very similar, just more expensive and a lot more fabric. The envelope, ours at least, weighs about 200 pounds, and our basket's in the 450-pound range with fuel.
Yeah, they're pretty loud, right?
Homemade baskets, don't they?
What was that?
Like little balloons for like a single person, or
Oh yeah. They're called cloud hoppers.
cloud
you can-
hoppers?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
they're unpowered. Some of them, if they're under 150 pounds, because they're unpowered, they can be classified as ultralights.
Yep.
And they can be flown with no license, just like us.
That's cool.
Yeah. They're often bent steel frame with very similar to paraglider harness in there with a tank on the back or on the bottom, and yeah, it's just small enough for a single person. They're like down in the 30,000 cubic foot range.
Yeah, they usually sit in a seat, and the seat rotates. It's not a basket.
Yeah, some of them do. The one that rotates, that's made by a company called Strand, I believe. The brands of balloon that we fly, Firefly, they make one that's basket looking chair. So it's got a really raised up back that's woven wicker. And then you sit in it and it doesn't rotate. So they're all just built a little different.
What's the highest you've ever flew in the hot air balloon? You know, like high,
Yeah, you know,
how many
I don't
feet
think
in
I've
the
ever looked
sky?
at the altimeter. It's probably somewhere in the 2,000 to 3,000 foot range. But
Okay.
it's super boring, and it's usually very fast up that high.
Do they have N numbers?
Yeah.
Or do they have a different one?
Yep. No, they're all in numbered and registered. They actually have to type certify the envelope and the basket together. So you can't really mix and match brands as easily as you could with a Paramotor, where, you know, you've got a AirJet bottom end and an ozone wing, and then you change out for a BGD, no big deal. If you have a Firefly envelope, Firefly basket, and then you get a head envelope, you have to get a new certification for the whole thing. So yeah, they're just as strict about that as they are with airplanes. Sometimes it's a little much. A lot of the written test is still for airplanes.
And what is an envelope?
The balloon itself, the fabric.
The balloon itself is called an envelope. Okay.
Yeah.
Very
See?
cool. Very
Learn
interesting, Avery.
something new every Monday. This is
Yeah, this was
absolutely
fun.
awesome.
Yeah. Don't annoy your balloon friends. They probably have really nice LVs.
Yeah, right.
That is so neat. So, do you have a altitude limit?
Well, they don't carry transponders, so you have to stay out of most controlled airspaces. But it is a full certified aircraft. So if you carried a radio, you could fly through Class C, Class B.
Wow.
You can fly over people. That's not a problem. I guess you can't really go into Class A without a transponder. So 18,000 feet would be the max. But I've never known anybody to go that high. You actually run out of oxygen for the plane, so it starts to putter out around 12,000.
They call those weather balloons.
Yeah.
That would be tough. Well, actually, didn't somebody go up in a balloon like really, really high to the edge of space and then
Yep.
jump out?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was helium. That was helium though. It wasn't hot air.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, stays buoyant. And the world, like, you know, circumnavigating the world record, those type of balloons are hot air at the bottom and helium at the top. It's kind of a hybrid.
Hybrid. That's neat. I didn't even know that. Jim has a question from the super chat.
Yeah, Tony Marzano was wondering, have you ever jumped from a balloon or skydived, or have you seen anybody do it?
That sounds like a funny question.
I have seen people do it. Unfortunately, I've also known people who've died doing it.
Oh.
It's really cool as a skydiver to leave with no wind in your face, but it's pretty dangerous for a balloon because when you lose 200 pounds of ballast, you shoot straight up. So if you do it wrong, you can really get in trouble. And there have been some pretty sad accidents like that. So I've never done it.
Pilot died?
Yeah.
Oh,
The
wow.
pilot?
Yeah. You shoot up too high and then it's hard to recover. But
Hard to.
yeah,
What? Tell me, what happens if you shoot up really high and hard to recover? What? I don't understand. Isn't it?
well, in that incident, he had taken skydives about. They jumped, he landed, and the weather was turning bad. But he took another load, shot back up again, and got stuck in the thunderstorm.
Oh.
There's a point where you have to keep the balloon warm enough to stay inflated. If you don't, it turns into a streamer. Nobody really knows, but we think that's what happened.
I didn't even think about.
You know, but for that reason, I have never never jumped from one, and I've never seen it happen in person.
Gotcha.
But Tucker's done it. He's base jumped from basically a let it go hot air balloon, and you can see what it looks like when it comes streaming down. So there's some risk there.
Okay. Very interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah, that's been like, so what's the difference of the helium balloon and then the balloon like you fly? The helium doesn't have the gas going through it, the heat, the flame, propane, I should say.
Yeah, well, helium balloons can go higher because they stay just as buoyant. It doesn't really matter as they go up in altitude. They don't need oxygen to keep going, but they're harder to control, and they have a limit on how much you can control. So you carry ballast with you, and it's usually water or sand, and you throw it overboard to make yourself lighter to go up, and then there's a vent at the top, just like a hot air balloon, to make you go down to release helium. But when you run out of ballast, you can't go up anymore. So you have to be really, really careful, really deliberate about maneuvers. And helium is also super expensive to a point where people are going back to hydrogen gas. So it's so expensive they're willing to risk the exploding.
Oh, dang. Like wasn't that the Hindenburg?
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, right. Good history.
Yeah, if you do it right, and you keep everything grounded before you land, it's safe, but it's definitely riskier.
So you said that there's a hybrid balloon that is helium and hot air. That sounds really interesting.
Yeah, they're called de Rosier balloons. The guy who invented them is like back in the 1700s. His name was Francois Pilatre de Rosier. And he did hot air on the bottom, hydrogen on the top, and he was also the first airborne fatality for that reason. Yeah, but that style of balloon is very efficient for long distances. The hot air at the bottom for controllability, and the nowadays helium at the top for extended flight. Yeah, so all of those weird looking ones that go around the world, they're all that design.
Now, most people think that the Wright brothers were the first people that have flown. However, that's not true because humans have flown in balloons for a long, long time. Do you know how long they've been flying for?
Yep, 1783. We actually just passed the anniversary. It was in September. Two Frenchmen. It was the Marquis de Anderlecht and Jean-Francois Pilatre de Rosier. They were the first people to fly. They bugged the King of France to let them do it instead of some prisoners. It's kind of weird, but nobody knew if there was air, 20 feet above ground. Nobody's ever flown, so they were prepared to die. The first balloon, actually, they sent off a chicken, a pig, and a sheep, I think, just to see if there was air up there. you know,
Huh.
and there was, and so they flew. The guy who's really in charge, his last name was Pilatra, and a lot of people think that's where the word pilot comes from.
Interesting.
Yeah, there you go. Learn something else.
I learned so much, and the cool thing is I'll re-listen to this again as I'm recording, as I'm setting up the audio for PPG Grandpa's Paramotor podcast, because not only do we do the audio here, but Jim in Canada, he uploads on his site, and then we take the audio and re-edit it and put it on podcast, audio podcast. So any of your favorite podcasting apps, just search for PPG Grandpa's Paramotor podcast, and this pops up. Matter of fact, it's on Audible, it's on Amazon, it's on Spotify, anything that you can listen to podcast, we are out there, and we get about 5,000 plus downloads on the audio part every month. So you're good. You're gonna be well known.
Wow. A lot of people learning about balloons today. Then.
Yeah, they're gonna be learning about Avery Express.
Yeah.
And
like
your small little paramotors that you could be
I know,
importing
they're so cute.
and selling. I mean, you could be making some bucks. You might have to think about that one.
Yeah. If I had to do it again, now that I know what I know, I'd recommend everybody looks up DLE Paramotor Thailand, the Facebook page, I guess. There's a guy in Thailand. That's where I got my exhaust from.
Mm-hmm.
He makes a much nicer looking kit with swing arms for less.
Yeah.
Cheaper and I think better. I'll have to get one. When I do, you'll see a video on that.
Okay, so if we need to get up with you, how do we get up with you? What's your Gmail?
OpenGauge@gmail. That's
OpenGauge@gmail. So we'll be able to get up with you at OpenGauge@gmail.com.
Yep. I try to check every day.
There was one more question in the chat from Para Ninja. He wanted to know the average cost to run the gas in the balloons for an hour.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, that depends on a lot on the temperature outside. So you have to have a difference in temperature to make lift. So the cooler it is, the more efficient it is because you don't have to get the inside as hot.
Gotcha.
I'm not sure what propane is selling for a gallon these days, but we fly with 35 gallons and an hour flight usually takes about 20 gallons. So whatever that is times your propane cost per gallon. I want to say it's somewhere in the $4 or $5 a gallon range, something like that. Plus the fuel for the chase vehicle.
So $4 a gallon and 20 gallons. What do you say? 20 gallons?
Yeah, 20 gallons usually. And you know, it's more if you have to fly longer, or you're carrying more people, or it's hotter outside. So up and down.
That's expensive, man. I mean, that's expensive.
Yeah, we'd like to land with enough fuel to take off again. That's a lot of fuel.
Yeah.
It is, and just like you said, your chase vehicles, you can't forget about how much it costs to run a chase vehicle.
Yep, they're usually full-size trucks or SUVs with V8s. They're usually towing a trailer, so they're not great on gas either.
No,
Yeah.
I would say on an average flight type of thing, about how far do you fly? I mean, you go up for a little bit, you come down. I mean, how far would you go on about an hour? I know it's totally different when it comes to, wind and stuff like that. But, in your experience, when you go up for an hour, about how far is that?
Yeah, I will give you a range.
Okay.
One of my videos, the introduction to balloons and what you should and shouldn't do around them on a paramotor. We flew a whopping 1,000 feet in 45 minutes. We went up, went down, and when we came back down, it was almost 180 degrees back to where we took off from.
Yeah, interesting.
And also just this weekend, we flew at a balloon alley in Statesville near me and flew almost 20 miles in an hour because the winds up top are doing almost 25. So you hop up into that and you're gone. Generally, I'd say somewhere in the 7 to 10 mile range, but
Okay.
There's your maximums and minimums.
Okay, that's really interesting. So when you take a balloon ride, it is strictly just to look out, see the beautiful land, watch the sun or the sunset or whatever. Yeah, there we go. What's your day? Is it only daytime that you can go fly, or what's your what's the level on that?
You can get instrument certified on a hot air balloon.
Okay.
So we have 3 instruments. It's temperature, altimeter, and variometer for a rate of climb. If you're certified for it and you've got the requisite lights, which is like a really long string, I think they're like 50 feet long with 4 or 5 different lights in different colors streaming down the side of them, then you can fly when it's dark.
That is so cool.
Yeah, it's not popular to do in the afternoon because you'd be landing in pitch black.
Right.
It's impossible to do. But a lot of people take off when it's still dark before sunrise, and then when the sun comes up, they land. It's called dawn patrol.
So you can actually go up there and see a beautiful sunrise.
Yeah, yeah.
That
Actually,
is
you'd be higher up than everybody, so you can sit there and watch the sunrise.
So you can
Or
see the
anybody
sunrise
else on the
before
ground.
everybody else.
Yeah.
That is awesome. That is awesome. How many people on the panel ever been in a hot air balloon? And anybody in the super chat, have you guys been in a hot air balloon? And what do you think of it? I have not, but I would love to. So Avery, I'm gonna have to come in and see you in North Carolina and go.
Yeah, make the short drive.
Yeah, really short drive. Yeah. Only 12 hours or so. Actually, I think it's more than that. I think it's like 18.
Yeah,
I haven't been on a hot air balloon, but the other day I got up before the sun was completely up, and it was really cool watching the tops of the trees as the sun came up, and then the trees would start to glow, and you could see them all the way from the west. They all slowly started to glow as it came up, and it was incredible. Especially this time of year with the fall colors and everything. Oh
yeah, and this is the popular time for hot air balloons too, for the same reason, fall colors. But they'll run year round, so find an operator near you, make some friends, maybe share some LZs.
Yeah.
That is.
I've been in a hot air balloon, but it was tethered, and I was just talking in the chat that I thought someone went up for the first time. But anyways, I'm wondering how scary it is.
You know, I'm afraid of heights. I don't like being on roofs. I don't like looking over second floor balcony. But just like strapping into a paramotor, when you get in the balloon, it's like you're in a cage. It feels very secure, and I've never worried about it.
Really?
There's no acceleration, so everything that happens so slowly. You don't feel like you're flying. You feel like you're standing. There's not even any wind usually because you're moving with it.
Yeah.
So, dead calm, no feeling of flight until you come back down to the ground again.
Well, I know a balloon pilot, and I've told her, I said, I'll give you a ride in mine if you give me a ride in yours. She hadn't taken me up on that yet.
Yeah.
Oh, you should do it, Will.
No, I don't think I could. I don't have a trike. I certainly don't have a tandem. That'd be hard to foot launch, but I guess, whatever.
I think they're more afraid of our method of flying than we are of theirs.
I guess it's what you don't know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm with you too, Avery. I am afraid of heights. You will not see me on the roof. You'll not see me climbing a tall ladder, climbing a tree. No. But a paramotor, I've been up to a mile and I look down and it's just absolutely wonderful. I have no fear. I even lean really forward at a mile up so I can look down. All I see is my feet dangling. I feel very, very secure. I mean, you can't fall out of a paramotor. So I understand going up in a hot air balloon, you can do that even when you're afraid of heights. You can paramotor when you're afraid of heights.
And the lines that attach to the balloon, they go to a 3-inch steel ring at the very top and a 4-inch steel plate at the very bottom. And just wrap all the way around. Our balloon has 18 lines. One of them is strong enough to hold the entire system. So it's probably, I think statistically, it's the safest way to fly. Fewest accidents, fewest malfunctions, simplest way to fly, period.
Interesting. Well, I mean, kind of like when we fly in paramotors, each line can hold, hundreds of pounds. So, it's very rare when a line snaps. It's usually when you do lots of crazy acro or something like that instead of just going up and looking at everything when you're flying a paramotor.
Yeah, and you don't do a lot of acro on a balloon.
I would like to see a barrel roll. Avery, if you do a barrel roll in a hot air balloon, I think that people would be like, I like that guy. That guy can do some cool stuff.
Do an infinite tumble.
Wow.
That would be cool.
That is neat. Bonnie in the chat, Jim just posted this for us, said, do you have safety harnesses or some sort of safety belts in a hot air balloon? Or you just stand there and you can jump out if you want to or fall out?
Yeah, in the early days, which was actually only about 40 or 50 years ago now, really hot air balloons as we know it started in the 70s. but back then, yeah, they wore helmets and they wore like fall arrestor gear and tied off, you know, to the floor. But no, generally you don't have anything like that. The edge of the basket is usually just above waist high, and you know, there's no forces in flight, so you'd have to intentionally jump out, which is a bad idea for the record. If you ever take a balloon flight, only leave the basket when you're told to.
Don't fall out of the balloon. Gotcha.
Yeah, it's the same way hydrogen balloons and those types go up. You know, if they lose ballast, you go up. So 150, 200, 300 pounds of people falling out. I mean, you go up pretty fast.
Yeah, it would be a lose-lose situation, wouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely would. Even on the ground, you know, once you land, you don't immediately jump back out because you're holding that thing down. And if it's not a safe place to continue flying, you just put the people flying in a lot of danger. Stay in the balloon.
Interesting.
I wonder if that's ever happened. Has anyone lost a balloon? Did like it just?
Yeah, you know,
Really?
I have heard of one guy who landed rough, and his passenger got out, and then I think the pilot, as he was scooting along, fell out one way or the other, and the balloon basically just went off. Came down in a tree. You know, there's no weight on it. What's it gonna do? You know, just follow the laws of physics.
Remote control, bring that thing down, right?
Yeah. Just like remote controlled paramotors, there are remote controlled hot air balloons. Works the same way.
Cool.
Wow.
Tony Marzano also said, do you use apps in your like PPG does? So I assume that he's talking about the.
Yeah, I use I'm on Android, so I use Gaggle for flight recording and hour keeping tracking, and I use an app called Radar 2, which is aggregates ADS speed transponder data and gives you an audible alert if an airplane with a transponder is close to you. So as I'm flying along, I've got a very expensive setup for my radios. It's a Bluetooth aircraft radio, Baofeng radio with a Bluetooth adapter, and then my phone into the same Bluetooth adapter. So I can talk on both radios, but then I also hear the alerts from my phone through my headset. Yeah, it's just Gaggle to record in the background and Radar 2 for anti-collision. Really. I've never gotten close enough for that thing to go off, but it's just another little safety tidbit that I keep on.
You wear headphones on your balloon?
No.
Oh, I thought you said
helmet,
that.
no headphones.
I thought you said you have one on your headphone. Okay, I guess I misunderstood.
No, yeah, just the usual Cena setup for a paramotor. But no, usually don't even wear a hat on the balloon.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, we are close to that 2-hour mark. I cannot believe that we chatted so long, and I know that it's time for dinner for you. So I guess we will say our farewells and let you go eat dinner. Thank you so much for talking. Thank you so much for all the information. Man, this was incredible, and wow, thank you so much.
Yeah, I'll probably be on some other time. We'll try to line something up.
You are
very
welcome to
informative.
jump on anytime that you want to and be on the panel, of course, just like Josh does. He's jumped on the panel and became part of us, and Jim did the same thing, and now he's part of us.
Yep.
Oh
That's how
no,
we roll.
I'm being assimilated.
I've got to ask, what's for dinner? Because I'm hungry.
I don't know, probably Chinese.
Ooh.
Oh, freezer's right there. I'll find out in a second.
There you
All
go.
right. Well, thank you, Avery. Thank you so
you.
much for being on the podcast. Wealth of knowledge, information, things that I did not know to even ask, I've learned tonight. So thank you so much. I always seem to learn things tonight, every Monday night on PPG Grandpa's Paramotor podcast. And thank you. I mean,
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was fun.
it was awesome, buddy. It was awesome.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, it was a
Thank you,
pleasure,
Avery.
man.
Absolutely. Go eat your Chinese, and we appreciate you. We're going to chat for another 5 minutes or so and say goodbye. But how can we find you? What are your websites, real quick?
Okay. My Facebook is just my Facebook. It's nothing interesting. My YouTube is where most of it happens. That's Avery Flies, FLIDS, Avery Flies, and Instagram is this guy AVES, which is kind of personal life paramotor stuff. But I'll post anything I fly every time I fly.
And how about that really cool 3D thing that we can print?
Oh yeah, OpenGauge, open-gauge.com, open source.
Is it GAGE or how we spell it?
GAUGE, like an instrument gauge.
All right, so Don't be spelling it wrong, guys. You won't go to the right place. All right,
Nope,
buddy.
it's,
Thank you so much. We appreciate you, Avery,
Thanks,
and
Dave.
have a great evening. Come back and see us anytime, bud.
will do. We'll see you later.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
one.
Good night.
Time to eat some Chinese. Sounds good
Yeah.
to me. So that was a really good show. I really enjoyed it. I did not know about all the balloon stuff. I really
know.
didn't.
Thank you for listening to the end. If you enjoyed the show, please hit the thumbs up. And if you'd like to hear more, then click the subscribe button and you'll be notified when new ones come available.